Hello everybody, welcome to Also Rusty Buckets. This is not a basketball in my hand, it is my dog who is chilling in my room because no one else is in the house and I don't want to put her in her box and she might leap away because she's a fucking drama queen. But wow, that game was close. I just watched Hawks versus Sixers game 1, and not only was it close, it was unnecessarily close because the Hawks damn near blew that lead. Now, I am not... Excuse you. Oh, quit your whining. I'm not entirely sure what I am going to title this video. I was planning on titling it Don't Sleep on the Atlanta Hawks or something generic like that, but with them almost blowing that lead, maybe you should sleep on the Hawks a little bit, even though they of course still managed to win game 1. So this game started off with the Hawks just looking like the better team the whole way through. Of course, Joel Embiid decided to play this game and he has an injury, but it didn't seem to affect him too much. I don't think his minutes were as high. Stop it. She's so annoying. The minutes were not as high, I don't think. Let's see here. He played 38. Yeah, you'd expect like 40 in a situation like this. He only played 38. I mean, that's not a big difference. But he still obviously had 39 and 9. He had a fucking fantastic game. And he looked like he was fully himself. And in spite of that, the Hawks managed to win this game. And this was because, once again, nobody had an answer for Trae Young. And we really didn't see a whole lot of Ben Simmons on Trae Young. I initially thought that Ben would get this matchup, and he didn't. They started off the game with Danny Green on Trae, which I guess the argument, are you going to leave? Are you going to leave? Is that what's happening? I guess the argument would be that, you don't put Ben Simmons on Trae. There she goes. Because Trae is quick, and Ben Simmons isn't always the best with really fast, small guards, but, neither is Danny Green. So, I don't know. I did not expect this to be so distracting. You are so annoying. It's okay. She's a puppy. She's allowed to be annoying. Where was I? But Ben Simmons did not get this matchup, and you'd argue it's a speed thing, but Danny Green's not faster than Ben Simmons, so it's not really that. I'm not really sure why he didn't get the matchup. I don't know where the mentality there is, really. I just think that's your best matchup. That's their best player. Make it happen. Of course, we saw some time with Matisse Thybulle on him, which Matisse did a fine job with, but at the end of the day, Ben Simmons is the guy who's going to play almost 40 minutes a game, so put him on Trae Young. Speaking of that, though, Ben Simmons did have a very, very good game, though there were some bits and pieces that were frustrating about it, and really, I think that sentence really just summarizes Ben Simmons as a player, because he was frustrating, but he also played good. He finished with 17 and 10, 4 steals, and it feels like all of those steals came in the fourth quarter. He was 7 for 7 from the field. He was 3 for 10 from the line, which is a very Ben Simmons type stat line. But he had multiple possessions in this game where he was just aggressive driving the ball, and then at the same time other possessions where he wasn't. And this is what's frustrating about Ben Simmons, is that he could just aggressively go to the basket nearly every possession. And he just doesn't. It's very annoying. But he did do it in spurts here, and that was big. He had multiple amazing defensive plays. He had one steal followed by a lob to Tobias Harris. It was a really big momentum shifter for Philadelphia because, as I mentioned, the Hawks had a really big lead in this game early, and that ended up being dissipated by, in the second half, the Sixers were running a full court defense, and that really interrupted what the Hawks were doing, especially late in this game. And offense just wasn't coming as easy for the Hawks in that half. And in the second half, guys like Danny Green ended up turning it on. Or not Danny Green, sorry. Seth Curry. I don't know why I said Danny Green. They turned it on. He was hitting big shots. And just late, the Sixers did everything right, and the Hawks did almost everything wrong. The only thing that the Hawks ended up having go right for them was, it was either Kevin Huerter or Bogdan, I can't remember which one. One of the white guys threw an amazing pass to John Collins that resulted in a clear path foul. Bogdanovich hit a big three that gave them a 6-point game with like 50 seconds left, and there was a lob, I believe it was. Either that or it was a tip-back dunk, I can't remember. I think I looked down for a second, and then I saw that John Collins threw down a crazy dunk. But it was to John Collins, however, it did go, and he threw down a crazy dunk. But for the most part, sloppy stuff for the Sixers. First, they wasted their last time out of the game with like a minute and a half to prevent a turnover. And then when they didn't have that timeout later in the game, they tried to do an inbound. It didn't work in time, so they got a turnover, got the 5-second violation. So, not the best taking care of the ball. In fact, I'm kind of curious what their total turnovers for the fourth quarter was. But this very much seemed like it was going to be a collapse. But, in Atlanta sports fashion, by the way. But I have to still give this team credit after this win, because even though the way in which they won was caused a little bit of hesitancy towards the end, they did win a game versus the Sixers when Joel Embiid put up 39-9, a game where Ben Simmons had a good performance, where Seth Curry and Tobias Harris both dropped 20. They scored 128 points against one of the best defenses in the NBA, and Trae Young did not have any issues scoring-wise in this game. There are still tons of positives to take away. Now, in my video on this series, I said that if Joel Embiid is healthy, I predict the Sixers to win in 5, maybe 6. But after this game, I do have some more confidence in the Hawks, and I was already relatively high on them in comparison to most NBA fans. But this Hawks team is just deep. It is well coached. They know what they're doing. Trae Young is a phenomenal talent. Bogdanovich is consistently one of the most underrated players in the league. John Collins has either good games or bad games, but today was a very good game, especially from outside. Clint Capella, he did get torched by Embiid, but I didn't expect him to do much more than that other than just be fine and not be a mismatch against him, which was the case. Not to mention, Solomon fucking Hill played 25 minutes in this game because DeAndre Hunter did not play due to a knee soreness issue. So you get him back, hopefully game 2, or at least relatively soon. You don't have to play Solomon Hill, and then suddenly this team looks even better because DeAndre Hunter was amazing in round 1 versus the Knicks, and he was especially good defensively against Julius Randle. And in my series preview video, I specifically said, put Hunter on Ben Simmons, and they were obviously not able to do that today. They had, who'd they have on him? They had Bogdanovich on him initially, and then there was some John Collins on him minutes. There was some Solomon Hill on him minutes. Really nothing particularly good. Also, I do have to mention Danilo Gallinari. He fucking sucks. The box score will say, hey, 17 minutes, 9 points, 2 for 4. That's fine. No, he's terrible. There's so many stupid fucking possessions in this game. I don't have anything necessarily to point to specifically. There was one where he took a fadeaway jumper when he had a wide open floater that was like mind-bogglingly dumb, but that's the only one that really stands out. But regardless, just not good. Lou Williams also played well in the minutes that he played, so I have to give him credit for that. Now, obviously, I still have the Sixers winning this series, but I think a lot of people were taking the approach of this is just going to be an outright blowout, an easy walk in the park for Philadelphia. And while I think they're going to win, and probably win convincingly, they're not going to just have the easiest time in the world making this win happen. At the end of the day, the Hawks are a very well-coached and deep team that has a lot of talented and good shot makers and playmakers, and because they're coached so well, all of the talent that they have in the playmaking and the shooting, all of that comes together for this perfect mesh of good basketball. But the Philadelphia 76ers have the best player in the series, one of the best defenses in the league, and overall I'd say a 5%, not better depth, but it is a better roster. The second guy in the Sixers is much better than the best second guy on the Hawks. But there's also reason to be concerned about Philadelphia in this game, despite the fact that they very nearly made this comeback happen, because they shouldn't have been in the position where a comeback needed to happen to begin with. They should have just been on par with Philadelphia or with the Hawks to begin with, and they weren't. But yeah, that was game one. I think this series is going to be really good, and I'm looking forward to it. But as I am talking right now, Clippers Mavericks is happening. I have my dad in the other room who has it paused for me to go watch. So I'm going to go do that. Subscribe to the channel. I don't think I mentioned that in the intro. So I'm trying to hit 100K on this channel by the end of the year. It's probably an ambitious milestone. But if you could help me potentially reach that ambitious milestone, that would be much appreciated. So subscribe, drop a like on this video, and bye.